Welcome back from the holiday weekend. It's Applesauce and Baloney. I'm Thor.
I'm Eric.
And Marvel has given us quite the holiday treat.
So much double helpings, like extra stuff in my stocking, under the tree, at the end of double credit sequences. Yeah, so I mean, where do we start here? Again, all stuff I think us and everybody else on the internet's been talking about for the last month. Yes, we got Matt Murdock. Yes, we got Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin returning. But we did not expect, I think, the second helping we were going to get of everything. I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't they gave us a photo and I was like, oh, they're gonna ease him in real light. They did not.
yeah, yeah. So of course we're speaking of the final episode of Hawkeye. In the second to final, they gave us a tease that Yelena had a picture of Kate's mother with the Kingpin, who we are affectionately referring to as the Kingpin in this show, which we did
In
not,
this
I
show.
believe, in Daredevil.
They
And
may have
yeah,
they may have said it once. They were really Marvel's been doing that thing where we're not going to say the names of the
mhm,
people. But I think now that we're moving, I think Hawkeye is doing that too. Just to make a small point here at this point of the show is, I very much think at the beginning of the whole Marvel thing, other than Iron Man, they really stayed away from using everybody's superhero names. Like no
right.
one
Yeah,
called
it was
Captain
it was
America
Steve
Captain America.
Rogers. It
Yeah,
was
he was Steve Rogers.
Natasha Romanoff,
Right, but
Clint
there was
Barton.
always there
Yeah,
was always a reference. Like the first time we
right,
see in Avengers, when we first really see Natasha Romanoff as Black Widow, even the Russian guy she's interrogating, who thinks he's interrogating her, calls her the Widow. So they give us
right.
little hints here and there, but they've really shied away from it and try to move away from it. But Hawkeye tackles it and so many other superhero tropes
Yeah.
straight on, and that's what I
Well,
loved about this show.
it's a branding thing, apparently.
It's a branding thing.
Um, which the Hawkeye show did so brilliantly, talking about costumes and Hawkeye's role in the overall Marvel Cinematic Universe. They give us that playful nudge to the sides about him being a sideline character through the Rogers of the musical. They kind of tease on that through the whole thing, but Hawkeye is legitimately an Avenger. He's legitimately a hero,
And we'll
and
come
we
back. We'll
finally,
come back
yeah,
to that musical. We'll get
yeah,
back there.
yeah, and it won't be a post-credit sequence. But yeah, no, they Kate leads us through. She's our portal into Hawkeye, and she leads us legitimately into showing that Hawkeye, through his sacrifices and through his behaviors, is legitimately a hero. And this show is almost a redemption for everything Hawkeye's been through, being Ronin and being Hawkeye and
Really,
dealing
it
with
is the end
Loki.
of his story. I feel like it's very much the end of the story that we all kind of didn't know we wanted after Endgame. And I do like
Yeah,
that a lot of these stories. I kind of hope She-Hulk takes a similar track. Where yes, I want it to be about Jennifer Walters and her path as She-Hulk, but it also needs to be a little bit about maybe
about
I think it
Bruce.
would be about Bruce and him because he lost Natasha too because they dated. Like
Yeah,
Hawkeye and Black Widow were best friends. Hulk and Black Widow dated. However weirdly or briefly they did it, and he had as much pathos and as much he missed her, and there was definitely it was a wound to him in
yeah,
Endgame as much as it was to Clint.
yeah. Yeah, no, I really think that'll be. I mean, that's another show that I didn't think I was going to be really interested in, and I'm really curious how that's going to play out. That and
Well, and
now
for
the
sure
new.
Matt Murdock will be involved.
Yeah.
He's got to be.
Oh, I mean,
He's got to be.
courtroom drama. Now with the Spider-Man drop of Matt Murdock being a really good lawyer, quote unquote.
Right.
You got to think that if She-Hulk is going to take place in any sort of courtroom, they're going to drop another Matt Murdock, which would be absolutely amazing, even if it's just another cameo like we got in Spider-Man.
Right. Well, and I
I'd
think I
love
think
that.
you're right. I think Matt Murdock will show up in Echo. I also think he could show up in She-Hulk. I
Yeah.
definitely think that we're going to see. So again, we're assuming you've seen episode 6. We're assuming you've seen the run of Hawkeye. So let's just dive right into. I think we can talk about trick arrows. We can talk about the real handing of the torch to Kate Bishop. We can talk about a lot of things. I want to start with this new Kingpin. Yeah, because we've already been
Yeah.
talking about him. He's the big thing here. Vincent D'Onofrio is the Kingpin. He's playing him the same way. It's the same voice, and I loved all the character development. Classic Marvel sympathetic villain, the very first the Kingpin we see in the Netflix Daredevil show. But this one has superpowers. I don't think it's just Kevlar clothing. I think
Right.
he's closer to like Luke Cage or Super Soldier.
Right.
Like the Flag Smashers. Like he's definitely up powered. He gets hit by a car, blown up, shot with arrows, and so I'm gonna say it right here. I 99.9% believe that Kingpin is not dead at the end of this. Where we see Echo pull a gun on him, and we see there's a reason we see it off camera. Like she does not shoot him, or she does, but he's not dead.
Well,
Like a
yeah,
bullet's
so
not going to kill him at this point.
so a couple things in there that I've read about in the last couple of days,
Okay.
that all kind of go along with what you're
Hit
saying.
me.
Is I read an article or an interview with D'Onofrio where he's saying that his guide into playing this Kingpin is a 100% build off of where he was in the Netflix show. He's got the same emotional trauma, the same emotional background. To him, this is the same Kingpin. Whether or not Marvel does that or not, plays a multiverse thing on us or what they're going to do, the way that he approached playing this Kingpin was just an up-powered version of the Daredevil
Well, that's
Kingpin.
what I'm saying. I think that in the multiverse, they might get stretchy at the point where they will show us how these versions differentiated from the versions that we met in the Netflix series. That we'll see him. We'll see him at the last time. We'll see him close to around the last time we saw him in the Netflix Daredevil show. But then at some point, he's going to get Luke Caged or Flag Smasher serum.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he is.
And I agree
because his skin is impenetrable. I mean, he basically has the same powers as Luke Cage, like where he's got slightly stronger human strength and he's bulletproof. Like his skin is impenetrable.
Yeah, so depending on what Marvel does with the Netflix series, which obviously they're dabbling in now that they have creative control back. Depending on
they're
how
not
they
dabbling,
bring those
they're full.
Yeah.
They're full. They've got their fingers in that pie for sure.
Yeah, but depending on how they decide to fold in the other characters, if we get Luke Cage in universe, then definitely I think it could be a Luke Cage thing, because that would make sense to that direction of characters.
Well, and the Flag Smasher thing, I think you brought that up when we called.
And that's where
we try to wait
till
till the episode, but I definitely think you're right there.
Yeah, that's where I think it's going. To me, it brings credibility to what happened in Falcon Winter Soldier. It definitely ties Contessa to Kingpin to the Power Broker. It makes all these Marvel Disney Plus shows just that much more interconnected. And I know they're already connected and they don't have to be, but to me, I think it would be cool.
Well, if you're pairing,
because the whole Marvel thing, superheroes exist because of Steve Rogers. Everything that happens in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is because someone is trying to create Captain America. They've said that the Hulk is because he was trying to become Captain America. The Red Skull,
he is the first Avenger, right? He's the first Avenger. Yeah.
So it'd be really cool to show that somewhere, because they talk about that the Kingpin's organized crime was disrupted during the blip. So it'd be interesting if during that he got together with the Power Broker, ended up giving himself power because is a way to make that power grab back.
Right, and if he is involved with Kate's mom and Contessa, we have to believe that he could have, and the Power Broker and the leader of the Flag Smasher, who dies in Falcon Winter Soldier. We've got to believe that if Wilson Fisk wanted some super soldier serum, he could probably get himself a vial. I just have to talk briefly about. I think we'd be doing it a disservice if we didn't talk about during our time on Hawkeye here, Team Hawkeye, and again another thing where they're moving out of being shy about them being superheroes because they drop superhero in this. I mean, post the snap, post the blip, post the invasion of alien New York, we definitely are living in a comic book world in the MCU where
Yeah.
where everyday
I mean,
people are like,
Kate's
I want to
mom,
be a
Kate's mom
superhero.
calls him out and Kate's mom calls
Yeah.
him out and says to Kate, he is not a superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or she's not a superhero. And
yeah,
but she is. And Yelena is a superhero. And Team Hawkeye, the
yeah,
LARPers,
yeah,
who make their own costumes. I mean, they're my favorite sidekicks since the Warriors 3 of Thor. I
yeah,
mean, they're
yeah,
they're definitely the underpowered street level version of
yeah. Well,
the
and
Warriors 3.
and of course, I haven't read the Matt Fraction run of Hawkeye, which this show is primarily based off of.
Right.
And those characters do show up in that storyline, so it'll be
Do
interesting
they?
to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There were a
That's
lot of
cool.
people really, really concerned when that first LARPer comes out. They were really concerned that they named him Grills. So I'm assuming something horrible happens to him in the comic book run.
I was worried about Grills dying this whole time too. I honestly thought,
Yeah.
I was like, if you kill Grills, I'm out. And they must
Yeah,
have known
yeah,
that. But he might have a dark fate ahead of him, just like
yeah,
Ned Leeds. But
yeah,
for right
yeah.
now, I mean, I love Team Hawkeye. I love that
Well, and
he's sitting there in the tree and he goes, they all come up and he's like, we're all gonna
yeah, we're all
die.
gonna die. Yeah.
We're all gonna
Well, I mean,
die.
it comes back to what I said with Kate validating Clint is, what makes a superhero? It's
Right.
someone that gives of themselves for the greater good. They sacrifice themselves. Kate's sacrificing of herself. The LARPers decide to sacrifice themselves to take care of people. So ultimately, in the Marvel Universe, that's what makes a hero. The Avengers didn't have to step up
Right.
and fight the aliens. They did because they could, and they,
Right.
so ultimately, those people are all Jack.
But now all these
You know,
other people, Kate Bishop,
if
Team Hawkeye, all these other heroes, Daredevil, all they've been inspired by that because now they could pick up a baseball
yeah,
bat or whatever and fight the aliens.
yeah, yeah, and like I was gonna say, Jack. Even we've been teased this
I
whole
know
series
the
that
swordsman.
he was
I
the
know.
bad guy.
I'm glad you brought up Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, and we get an ultimate redemption of Jack DeCane in this, where he gets super excited that he's actually going to get to use his swords and
I
fight
felt so
people.
played. I felt
It
so,
was
you and I've been talking about it this whole run of Hawkeye, but I felt so played when I turned out. I'm like, oh, he's a good guy. He's just a big dopey dumb good guy, and he's like, this is your
yeah.
chance, Jack. And I was like, oh, now I love you.
I mean,
Now I'm in love
he
with
doesn't.
you.
He doesn't necessarily have to be a good guy because he's still definitely running
Well,
in some
sure,
very dark circles.
right. But
But
he's
I mean,
genuinely, but
but he's not.
all the
But he's
stuff
not
where
Kate's
he
mom.
was playing possibly ominous during this whole thing, he was just being a goofball, and he really did love Kate's mom. And again, maybe they're setting me up for a double fake, and he is going to be some mastermind. But this last episode,
No,
I'm like,
I don't.
you're just a big dumb idiot.
I think he's just a big dumb idiot, and I saw someone post online that they think that they'd love to see if we get a continuation of Kate's story, which we know we will.
hope
If we
so.
get another Hawkeye 2, they're like, well, it'd be fun to see Jack kind of take Kate under his wing a little bit since she's now lost her dad and her mom, and kind of teach her and expand on what Hawkeye can't teach her.
Well, and Hawkeye really should be Hawkeye should be way. I would like to see if I was going to do this next season of Hawkeye. I would show more. I actually do want to see more of Clint Barton at home with his wife and his kids, and maybe having to fend off attack on them because they're setting that up. That eventually
Yeah.
the Kingpin is going to send people for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they did that, if they did a Clint at home, just kind of being a distant mentor to Kate, but then have the swordsman he's out of jail and Kate's in jail. Maybe he does take her under his wing. I think that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind seeing that. And again, there's still some shadiness with him where, I think between him and Yelena, we could get I think Kate Bishop right now is so far my easily my favorite new Avenger. Like it goes Kate Bishop, Yelena, and then Photon.
Photon, yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about this new Avengers crew. They're going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so
no,
so yeah,
it'll
trick
be-
arrows.
Yeah.
We got tons of trick arrows. you and I wondered about the Pym stuff, either on the episode or privately talking about it. Like, how did they get the arrow? How did Hawkeye get Pym technology? Well, they did such a great job this last episode, just going like, doesn't matter, because she goes, well, what do we do with them now after they shrink the Truster Bros?
Yeah.
I mean, that was one of my favorite.
Like, I don't know. I'll have to ask Scott about that. And then bam.
Yeah, I don't know what we do after we shrink him. I'll have to ask Scott. And then the owl picks him up and flies away. I died. I was dead. They gave us so much in this episode. So much fun stuff. Like, you want to see all Hawkeye's trick arrows? We're gonna do a whole thing.
Yeah.
Here's dart arrows. Here's Pym arrows.
All the arrows.
Here's lightning arrows. Magnet arrows. It was great.
And just such a really fun last episode. I mean, everybody got to fight. We got action from everybody. We tied up everything. Just like Spider-Man, it brought the whole rug together.
It really did. It brought the rug.
The rug brought the room together. Yeah. But it was so perfect. And to go back to the thing with Echo and Kingpin.
Right.
I was going to mention earlier that I actually read that in the comic run, Echo actually does shoot Kingpin in a series, and he ends up blinded for like a year or so during that run. He eventually, because he's not dead, because the Kingpin in the comics is crazy. He eventually heals and comes back, and there's the whole thing. So whether or not Echo decided to, she got soft and shoot over his shoulder, or if she shot him blank in the face. I'm almost positive we're not done seeing Kingpin.
No, there's no way.
I'm excited to see him show up in something else. Because Marvel, you can't tease us like that. You can't give us Vincent D'Onofrio Kingpin and then never use him again.
But
you
what
can't
a
give
fight!
us.
I mean, if they
you
did,
can't give us Charlie Cox in Spider-Man and then never see him again.
But if they did, it was a really awesome Kingpin fight. I mean, in Hawkeye, Clint even tells Kate Bishop, he's like, not a lot of people walk away from that guy. That's why I think he's got to have some superpower, because Clint definitely refers to him. They talk about the big guy, and they talk about him with a respect and even a reverence of like, oh, if this guy's involved, we're screwed. You got to believe if they knew him back then when they were Avengers and they couldn't take him down, that he's a big time villain. Like, so that means that Clint knows Kingpin from, sometime between when the Avengers formed and, Endgame, which gives them a lot of, so they've fought some supervillains, and maybe that was Clint and Natasha's side project or his wife's side project, but they just could never get the Kingpin, and setting him up to have that kind of gravitas in the universe. I'm pretty excited about. Yeah.
Well, and it'll be interesting to see, one, if Linda Cardellini's Agent 19 gets more play in the future,
right?
Because we don't know ultimately what was going on with that watch. We know
right.
We know that Armand the Third was trying to get it. We don't know what his purpose behind getting it was. We know that they were trying to keep it away from Kingpin. So who ultimately wanted the watch? Who wanted to find out who Mockingbird was?
Right.
So there's plenty. They left us plenty of breadcrumbs to come back and want more. But
these first four series were so well paired. I mean, we got Loki and WandaVision, where those were the big ones. They're the multi-powered multiverse guys, And then we got Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Hawkeye. And I think if there's any kind of precursor to how we could look how Phase 5 is going to go, transition to Phase 4, Phase 5, it is you and I have talked about it. We've got plenty of villains now. We've got Contessa. We have the Power Broker. We have, Echo. We've got the Kingpin. We've got all these people on the lower level, but then we've got Kang. We've got Loki and Sylvie. We've got, Quantumania. We've got Doctor Strange. We've got Wanda. They're all the people on this like changing reality level. And then we've got Sword kind of in between, Captain Marvel and the Skrulls and stuff. So I mean, really, I think we can kind of guess where we're gonna go.
Is that the big three? Is that the big three? Is that aliens, wizards, and robots? Is that?
It is aliens. We've got aliens, wizards, and robots involved here.
Yeah. So I mean, and just to go back, talking about getting such great stuff. Again, it really just brings me back to the fact that like I'm really bummed out that we're gonna have such a lull in
Such a
our
lull.
Marvel content.
A 4-month
I'm
lull. We got Eternals. We got Spider-Man. We got Hawkeye.
yeah. I
We
got
got
done.
What If.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got done with Spider-Man, and my next
Mm-hmm.
thought was I need another Spider-Man movie. I need it now.
Yes.
I got, and I was excited that we were going to get another episode of Hawkeye. We got the final episode of Hawkeye, and all I can think of is like, I want more. So Marvel, whatever narcotic you're putting in your programming, I guess keep it up because I
Yeah.
want all of it, and I
Yeah.
want it now.
Thor's scratch. He's scratching his arms. He's like,
Yeah, you got any more of that Marvel content?
You got any more of that Marvel content?
Yeah, yeah.
No, I feel you, man. And all I can say is, at the time of this recording, we've got less than a week until Book of Boba Fett. So
Yeah.
we're just gonna have to turn the page. We have to move on.
Yeah.
We will
Well-
get around to our Eternals episode because Eternals will be coming out streaming, so I can finally see it. I haven't. It's unavailable. It'll be the first Marvel movie I've never seen in the theater since Iron Man. So I'm really sad about it. But we'll do a streaming thing on that. I think we're gonna get together with Max after the holidays and do our Shame on You, Cowboy Bebop, bring back that space cowboy Netflix. You need to change your ways episode, and then yeah, man, we're once we start this next year, we've got a 4-month lull. But if you look at the schedule,
Yeah.
once
I mean,
it starts,
there's going to be
we're not gonna
plenty
be
of
able to
stuff.
stop.
There's
Yeah.
going to be plenty of stuff. There's other content coming out. It's not just Marvel. It's not just Star Wars. We do like other things.
There's
it
other
just so
stuff in the
happens that-
lunchbox other than
Yeah.
applesauce and bologna is what we're saying. What we're saying is, yeah. But yeah.
So I mean, stay with us. Like,
Yep.
subscribe, follow.
please,
Um,
please.
Somewhere in the next coming weeks, I'm sure we're gonna dig in on that Doctor Strange teaser for Multiverse of Madness that we
From
got
Spider-Man,
because wow.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things to talk about, but definitely gonna have to talk about is that Doctor Strange from What If?
From What If,
we
right.
know What If has been doing some heavy lifting conceptually for us, preparing us for Phase 5. I think after seeing Spider-Man, I think like lots of speculation. But like I said, or like we said, please like and subscribe. We've got lots to talk about. Wrapping up the first year of Applesauce and Baloney, but we will be back next year and heading on to 50 weeks and beyond. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We're not going away, so you might as well just like us and tell your friends.
Yeah, just like and follow, and if you don't like something we're talking about, or we miss something that you do like talking about, drop
please.
a comment. We're here. We want to talk about all the nerdy stuff that you guys like, that we like.
Yeah, that's why we brought my brother on. We wanted you to feel comfortable letting us know that we were wrong. Like because he watches it every week.
Because we
he watches
often
it every
are.
week, and he tells us what we did wrong. Like so please, if I can handle it from him, we can handle it from you. We'll see you next time.
Yep.
Applesauce and bologna.
And baloney.